What the fuck, man? What the fuck? We can't get away from this lady. What the fuck is going on? We cannot get away from this lady, man. Good God. I'm so sick of it. Stephanie White, the Indiana Fever, man. How is she now? All of a sudden, she ain't.
That's not excitement. That's genuine shock, turning into frustration in real time. February 2026, USA Basketball just dropped their roster for the FIBA World Cup qualifying tournament in San Juan, Puerto Rico. 12 players selected, including Caitlin Clark making her senior national team debut. Should be a celebration, right? But watch that reaction again. Something in that announcement hit different, and it's not about who made the roster.
Man, Alexa Philippou, USA Basketball has announced its roster for the FIBA World Cup qualifying tournament next month. The final roster: Aaliyah Boston, Paige Becker, Sonia Citron, the GOAT, Caitlin Clark, Kalia Copper, Chelsea Gray, De'Erica Hamby, Ryan Howard, Kiki Iriafin, Kelsey Plum, Angel Reese, and Jackie Young round out the 12-woman roster.
Here's what got announced. The tournament runs March 11th through 17th in Puerto Rico. The roster includes veterans like Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, and Jackie Young, all 2024 Olympic gold medalists. Then you've got the newcomers, Paige Becker, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Kiki Iriafin making their competitive debuts for the senior national team. Aja Wilson isn't there, Brianna Stewart isn't there, but that's expected for a qualifying tournament when you've already secured your World Cup spot by winning the 2025 Women's AmeriCup. This should be a development opportunity for younger players to get international experience. But there's a detail buried in that announcement that changes everything. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.
For 2026 FIBA, hold on, coaching staff. Bruh, if I read this article and Stephanie White is on this staff, if Stephanie White is stalking Caitlin Clark around team to team, I'm about to lose it. I'm about to lose it. She better not be on this final coaching roster, bro. I don't got time. I don't have time. Here it says, USA Basketball announced today the 12-player roster coaching staff who will represent USA at the 2026 FIBA World Cup qualifying tournament in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Carol Lawson gets named head coach. That's the Duke women's basketball coach. And already there's questions there because Duke started this season ranked in the top 10 and completely fell apart. The offense looked stagnant, the team underperformed, and now she's running Team USA's system. But that's not what triggered that reaction we saw at the beginning. The assistant coaches, Nate Tibbetts from the Golden State Valkyries, Natalie Nakase, also from Golden State. Both respected names, both making their debuts with the women's national team program. And then the third name, Stephanie White, Indiana Fever head coach. That's when it clicks. That's the moment where this stops being a basketball announcement and becomes something else entirely. Because Stephanie White coaching Caitlin Clark on Team USA isn't just a coincidence. It's a pattern that's been building for months.
This is some bullshit, bruh. I'm so mad, bruh. Like, God damn, it's like you stalking her around place to place. Like, Jesus, man. I feel like if the girl go to McDonald's, you gonna crawl through the bathroom and say, like, bruh, like, just go. Like, don't you need to go scout some players? It's March. Shouldn't you be at March Madness scouting some players or something? You don't have other things to do? Like, golly, man, we cannot escape this lady.
Think about the timeline here. Stephanie White wasn't involved with USA Basketball's women's program in any significant capacity before this. She played for Team USA back in the 90s, sure. She was a court coach at an April 2024 training camp. But she was never part of the main coaching staff for major competitions. Never an assistant for Olympic qualifying, never part of World Cup coaching rotations. Her USA Basketball resume was minimal. Then Caitlin Clark enters the WNBA in 2024. Suddenly Stephanie White leaves the Connecticut Sun, where she'd built a solid program, to become head coach of the Indiana Fever in 2025. Caitlin's team, now just months later, she's on the Team USA coaching staff for the exact tournament where Caitlin makes her senior national team debut. One time, that's a career opportunity. 2 times in 6 months, that's a pattern. And patterns tell you where the real priorities are.
Damn golf thing hiding in the caddy's truck. Cause I don't know, bro. I don't know. Maybe she disguised herself as a damn golf ball at the tournament. We don't know. We don't know. White, the 2023 WNBA Coach of the Year, was a court coach at the April 2024 Women's National Training Camp and also played for the USA in 1997 Jones Cup and the 1994 and 1995 U.S. Olympic Festivals. During the 2025 season, White led the Fever to a franchise record 24 wins. Tibbett, who led the Mercury to the 2025 finals, was the coach.
Here's why this matters. Beyond just coaching assignments, the 2025 WNBA season just ended with Stephanie White leading the Fever to a franchise record 24 wins. That's legitimately impressive. The team improved dramatically from their 2024 performance, but throughout that entire season, there were questions about offensive philosophy, about whether the system maximized Caitlin's abilities, about whether the coaching staff understood how to build around a generational talent. Those questions didn't get resolved. They got postponed because the team won enough games to make it look functional. But anyone watching closely saw the limitations. The offense still ran too much isolation, still didn't generate enough off-ball movement, still relied too heavily on Caitlin creating everything from scratch, instead of putting her in positions to thrive within a system. Now that same coach is going to be in her ear during Team USA practices. The same offensive philosophy that showed cracks in the WNBA is going to influence how she's used in international competition. And there's no escape from it, because this isn't just a Fever thing anymore. This is USA Basketball officially endorsing this coaching relationship.
In Pan American Games team that finished third in 2011, Nakosk is the reigning WNBA Coach of the Year. All right, man. Jose Fernandez and Tia Jackson will serve as scout coaches. Bro, I cannot believe, bro, Sue Bird, man. This is what I'm saying, bro. Sue Bird is really a op, and like she's a op in disguise. I can see it. Sue Bird is so oppy, bro. Like, why is Kara Lawson the coach? Duke stinks. Her offense is absolute garbage in college. Bro, Duke started out as a top 10 team, bro.
And then there's the roster construction itself. Chelsea Gray and Kelsey Plum are both listed as guards on this team. Both are ball-dominant players who need the ball in their hands to be effective. Both are coming off that Olympic gold medal run where they played significant minutes. The natural assumption is that they're going to start in the backcourt for these qualifying games, which means Caitlin Clark, the player who just led the WNBA in assists, who broke the league's single-season assist record, who generates offense at a level we haven't seen since Sue Bird, might be coming off the bench for a qualifying tournament. Against competition that the United States should dominate. That's not a basketball decision, that's a politics decision. That's a we need to manage egos and respect veteran status decision. And if Stephanie White is one of the voices in those coaching meetings advocating for veteran-heavy lineups because that's what's earned through Olympic experience, then this tournament stops being about development and becomes about maintaining hierarchy.
It's a few things I got problems with. I don't know how Kara Lawson's the coach. I don't know how Stephanie White is over there. Like this whole thing is looking wacky already. But I am excited to watch Caitlin Clark play. Hopefully she gets to just play. Who knows? There's always an agenda with these people. They're probably going to try to play Paige Becker's way more than her on some secret agenda. They'll probably try to start Kelsey Plum over her and Chelsea Gray and all of this stuff. I don't know. I'm excited to try to see her play, but it seems like there might be some real obstacles in the way, man.
Let's be direct about what's happening here. USA Basketball is trying to ride the Caitlin Clark wave without actually committing to Caitlin Clark. They didn't put her on the promotional image for this announcement, even though she's the biggest draw in women's basketball right now. They're bringing her onto the roster because they have to, because the backlash from leaving her off would be massive, because her presence sells tickets and generates media coverage. But they're hedging. They're surrounding her with veteran guards who'll take minutes. They're installing coaches who have existing relationships with other players. They're creating an environment where she can be on the team without actually being the centerpiece of the team. And Stephanie White being on that coaching staff is the clearest signal of that approach. Because if you're building around Caitlin, if you're treating her like the franchise player she is, you bring in coaches who specialize in maximizing elite offensive talents. You bring in people who've designed systems around generational players. Instead, they brought in the coach who already has her, who's already established a working relationship, who represents continuity rather than optimization.
This whole Stephanie White thing being over there just really kind of blew it for me, but it is what it is, man. We're going to get to see the GOAT CC do her thing. Get down in the comments and let me know what you guys think, man. Let's keep the vision.
So here's what this Team USA announcement actually reveals. It's not about basketball excellence. It's not about putting the best possible product on the court. It's about managing relationships and maintaining institutional control. Caitlin Clark is on the roster because she has to be. Her talent is undeniable. Her impact on the sport is undeniable. And leaving her off would create a firestorm USA basketball can't afford. But they're not building around her. They're fitting her into an existing structure, surrounding her with familiar faces from the coaching staff and creating an environment where veteran players still get priority. Stephanie White's presence on that coaching staff tells you everything about USA basketball's priorities. They value continuity over innovation. They value institutional relationships over maximizing talent. They value keeping things comfortable for the existing power structure over taking risks on the future. And that's fine if you're just trying to win a qualifying tournament against inferior competition. The United States is going to dominate these games regardless of who starts or what offense they run. The talent gap is too massive, but if you're thinking about 2026, about the actual World Cup in Berlin, about building a team that can handle the best international competition when they've had time to study your tendencies and game plans specifically for your stars, then this approach is short-sighted. Because here's what international teams are going to do. They're going to pack the paint against Caitlin Clark. They're going to force her to beat them from three-point range or make them pay with passing. They're going to pressure her full court and make her work for every inch of space. And if the offensive system doesn't have answers for those adjustments, if the coaching staff hasn't built actions specifically designed to free her up against those looks, then you're wasting her presence on the roster. Stephanie White had all season to develop those counters with the Fever. The results were mixed at best. Now she's got a few weeks of practice time with Team USA to install concepts with players who've never played together in this system. That's not a recipe for offensive innovation. That's a recipe for offensive innovation. That's a recipe for defaulting to basic actions and letting talent win games. Which again, will work in Puerto Rico. The competition isn't strong enough to exploit those limitations, but it sets a precedent. It establishes patterns. It tells you how USA basketball views Caitlin's role going forward. Look at how they've handled other generational talents. Diana Taurasi was starting for Team USA by her second major tournament. Sue Bird was a foundational piece of the offense from early in her national team career. Maya Moore was immediately integrated as a primary option. When you have transcendent talent, you build around it. You don't make it fit into what you were already doing. But that's not what's happening here. Carol Lawson running an offense that struggled at Duke. Stephanie White bringing the same philosophy that showed limitations in the WNBA. Chelsea Gray and Kelsey Plum likely starting based on Olympic tenure rather than current fit. This is an organization that's more concerned with respecting the process than optimizing the product. And maybe that's the right approach for organizational stability. Maybe keeping veterans happy and maintaining coaching relationships is more important than squeezing every ounce of potential out of your best player. But don't pretend that's about basketball excellence. That's about politics. That's about managing egos. That's about keeping the machine running smoothly rather than rebuilding it around new realities. The frustration in that initial reaction makes perfect sense now. Because if you're a fan who wants to see Caitlin Clark used properly, if you want to see USA basketball actually build around their most dynamic offensive player, if you want innovation instead of iteration, then this coaching staff is a disappointment. It's more of the same. It's the safe choice. It's the choice that protects institutional interests rather than maximizing basketball potential. So when those games tip off in San Juan on March 11th, watch what happens. Watch whether Caitlin starts or comes off the bench. Watch whether the offense runs through her or around her. Watch whether Stephanie White's system looks different with international spacing rules and FIBA officiating, or whether it's the same concepts that showed cracks all season. Because this tournament isn't really about qualifying for the World Cup. The United States already did that. This is about establishing hierarchy. This is about determining who gets prioritized going forward. This is about whether USA basketball is ready to fully commit to their most marketable, most talented, most impactful player, or whether they're going to keep hedging, keep managing, keep trying to balance competing interests instead of just putting the best possible team on the floor. And based on this coaching staff announcement, based on Stephanie White somehow being involved in every single stage of Caitlin Clark's professional career, despite never being a significant part of USA basketball before, the answer is pretty clear. They're hedging, they're managing, they're trying to have it both ways. The question is whether Caitlin's talent is so overwhelming that it doesn't matter, whether she's good enough to succeed despite the limitations of the system rather than because of its strengths. Based on what we saw in the WNBA, the answer is probably yes. She's that good. She can make average coaching look functional just by being exceptional. But imagine what she could do with great coaching. Imagine what Team USA could look like if they actually built around her instead of fitting her in. That's the opportunity they're missing. That's what makes this announcement frustrating instead of exciting. Not because Caitlyn won't succeed. She will, but because she deserves better than this.